Hello, my internet friends. Welcome back to my channel. For those of you who are new here, hi, I'm Hick, 32 years old, living in Finland, the happiest country in the world, and I share videos on life in Finland, food, travel, and etc. Today I wanted to share with you guys some of the things I like to always keep stocked in the fridge, which includes kimchi, bread, something sweet, and some side dishes that can be a great addition to the everyday meal I make. One of the biggest changes I've had since moving from London to Helsinki is that I don't order takeaways at all and eat out as much as I did in London. And that means I cook every day, 3 meals a day, and sometimes I don't feel like cooking. So the things I keep stocked in the kitchen helps me with that first world problem. I always thought kimchi must be really hard to make and you need all kinds of ingredients and tools, but when I got down to making it, it was really simple. You just need a few veggie ingredients, Korean chili pepper, soy sauce, things you can easily find in the grocery store. I feel like a lot of the food we consume are probably not that crazy difficult to make. It just seems that way because we end up buying it from the grocery store and we're so far removed from the process of making food from scratch. Moving to Finland has forced me to learn and cook some of the food that I used to buy from the grocery store from scratch, and I love that I'm able to also share that journey with you guys. Now I make this kimchi all the time. I can't ever imagine going back to store-bought kimchi because homemade ones just taste better and last for a very long time as long as you use your clean utensils. So while you salt the cabbage and leave it aside for at least 2 hours, just chop up all the vegetables, apples, spring onion, carrots, ginger, garlic. Set aside the carrots and spring onions, but the rest of the veggies, chuck it into the blender and blend it until it's smooth. After that, you just add Korean chili pepper flakes, soy sauce, vegan fish sauce, and sugar. After the cabbage is ready, make sure you wash them in water to wash off the excess salt and squeeze out the water. Then you mix it with the marinade you made. Now I just use my bare hands to mix, but for those of you who have sensitive hands or you don't want the smell on your fingers, then it might be a good idea to wear some kind of gloves. And then finally add it to a nice fermentation jar. Now the mistake I made over here is that I packed way too much kimchi in one jar, so after a day of fermentation the juice started to leak. So make sure you don't do it too packed. Leave some room for the bubbles to rise to the top. Kimchi is such a versatile item that can be made into savory pancakes, fried rice, noodles, mixed with eggs, make kimchi soup, you name it. I left my kimchi jar outside for about 2 days, and since it's summer right now, the fermentation was pretty fast. My kimchi tasted fairly sour already after 2 days. Then I moved it to the fridge. Make sure you degas the jars from time to time because if you don't, it might explode. And again, it lasts for a very long time in the fridge as long as you use clean utensils and you make sure you don't get any, germs and dirty hands in there. Now moving on to kiriboshi daikon, which is a traditional Japanese food that consists of daikon, Japanese radish, that is cut into thin strips and dried in the sun. By drying it in the sun, it helps to concentrate the umami flavors and enhance the natural sweet and slightly sour taste. As long as it's dried properly for about 2-3 days in the sun, it should last for at least 6 months in the airtight container. When you're ready to cook it, just soak it in the warm water for a while, and then after a few minutes, squeeze out the water, and it's ready to be used. You can make it into salad, make some simmered food with beans, which I made over here, or you can also put it in miso soup. This is a pretty common side dish in Japan, which consists of carrots, kiriboshi daikon, and sometimes it has aburage, fried tofu, and soybeans. But I don't have soybeans and aburage, so here instead I've used dehydrated soy chunks, cut them in half, and then I put red kidney beans. I'm going to use this over the week as a side dish to my meals like this. One thing I miss about meat is my mom's homemade dumplings. She makes dumplings using Chinese cabbage and a mix of pork and beef mince, sesame oil, and salt. Very simple yet very tasty, and it's one of my favorite dishes. So I'm recreating this as a vegan version, but similar flavoring with sesame oil, salt, and a bit of soy sauce. I'm adding mushrooms and tofu for the umami and meaty texture, and also using soy sauce to add some flavor to the mix. Then I combine it all together with the salted cabbage and finally add some sesame oil. I put some rice flour on the big plate so that dumplings don't stick together, and that actually resulted in crispier finish when cooking in oil, so I'd recommend it. I made about 40 pieces over here, so I froze half of them in the freezer and half of them I kept in the fridge. It's great for quick meals and also for parties. I ended up cooking them all for potluck. Now, finished rye bread is very tasty and definitely healthy, but sometimes I just want some good old chewy, satisfying bagels. But they're really hard to find, and I've been craving raisin bagels, even though I don't even like raisins. So I decided to make a batch for the week. It's a pretty simple recipe where you just mix sugar, yeast, water, and flour. I didn't have any bread flour, so I went with a normal flour, which was a mistake because the bagels ended up being quite flat. After kneading until smooth and elastic, I set it aside with wet cloth cover for about 2 hours until it doubled in size. Now I'm going to boil the bagels for 2 minutes on each side, which creates the crispy exterior and dense, chewy texture on the inside. For the final touch, add egg wash and sesame seeds, and now it's ready to be baked in 220 degrees oven for 20 minutes. My bagels always end up wrinkly, never smooth, so I still need to practice and improve my bagel skills, but it satisfied my cravings for raisin bagels. I have these bagels for breakfast throughout the week with scrambled eggs on the side. Lastly, something sweet to always keep in the fridge. I usually end up making banana bread because I always buy bananas and never eat them, but this time I decided to make something different. I've been missing some Japanese sweets like custard pudding, so I'm going to make that for the week. It's a very simple recipe consisting of just sugar, egg, milk, and vanilla extract. Bit broken and wonky, but success. So for dessert, I made Japanese custard pudding. Oop, bad angle. It could be prettier, but it tasted pretty good. What?
Where did you get it from?
I made it. Do you like it?
Man, this is so good.